Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and for the last week I've been driving the 2025 Cadillac Escalade IQ Luxury 2. Below me are two electric motors powering the first ever electric Escalade. Now I am super excited to be driving it because it is that first electric Escalade. This marks a pivotal moment for the Escalade brand. Now, as of right now, you can still buy the gasoline-powered Escalade as well as the Escalade V, which is their fire-breathing, supercharged V8 3-row. However, it might not stick around for very long. And so today we're going to be taking a look at what the future of the Escalade name might mean. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that all-electric drivetrain. Well, everyone wants to know the mileage, and it's about 400-ish miles. The sticker will tell you 460. I personally haven't seen it go much above 400, but I've also been driving it in a less energy conservatory manner, if that makes sense. VMAX mode is very fun, and we'll talk about that in a second. Here's the thing, and here are my brutally honest thoughts about EVs. I'm not full EV, I'm not anti-EV. I think that they definitely have their place in the market. My mom drives 2 miles to work every day. She should have an EV. She's perfect for that. I road trip a lot. EVs make road trips just a little bit more of a head scratcher. However, where EVs really make sense is in the luxury category. This vehicle is quieter. This vehicle is smoother than its gasoline counterparts. And when you're in this segment, those are the things that you really want without suffering any performance loss. Because it is dual motor, it is also all-wheel drive, and that's the only way that they come. How does it feel to drive the Escalade IQ? Well, it's quite fantastic. It's fast when you want it to be fast. It's quiet and smooth when you want it to be quiet and smooth. It really is the best of all worlds. It is big. That is the one major downside. However, every Escalade, since its conception in the early 90s, has been very big, so something to note, but this does feel bigger than previous Escalades. So that's something you might want to know. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Well, in front of me, I get part of a giant pillar-to-pillar screen. So my gauge cluster is, of course, all digital, and you have several things you could go through here. You can get into the maps and different gauges and whatnot. However, my favorite thing is the night vision mode. Now, this is actually an infrared camera, but it helps you see living beings, whether the sun is up or down. So wildlife in the backcountry lights up bright white. You can also tell when a car's been running for a while. You can see the hot exhaust systems in the car that you're behind. So that is very cool. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our cruise control options. We do have Super Cruise here in the Escalade IQ, which is their hands-free driving system that I adore. As well as we have our VMAX mode. This is the maximum performance you could get out of the Escalade, and boy, will it rip your face off. To the right, we do have our selectors for that gauge cluster screen, as well as our skip track, volume, voice commands, things of that nature. Off to the left, we have our first of many AKG speakers. I once praised the Escalade for having 32 speakers. This now has 40 speakers inside this vehicle. 40. Insane. Down below, we have our power parking brake, our raising and lowering button for the vehicle, as well as our frunk and trunk release and gauge dimmer switch. Moving on to the door, we have a nice wood accent. We have massage seats, heated and ventilated seats, as well as memory seats. And down below, we have our lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows. However, we do have the latch to get in and out, but as you can cut to the in-car, you pull it up, and it is a power-operated door. Now, how are you going to close it? Well, You gonna yell at me the whole time? It's gonna yell at me the whole time. To close it, you have here in the touchscreen, you swipe it like unlocking an iPhone, and it closes back up. Thank you! Gosh, peace and quiet around here. Moving into the center, you have a continuation of that center screen. We do have our Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, Play Store, vehicle status, anything you want to know and see you can have in here. It does not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. GM is moving this away in their EVs in case that's important to you. We have a fantastic camera system, and something to note that I didn't know until now is that there actually is a manual off button. So the Escalade IQ does not have a on-off button. When you get in, it senses the key and it turns on. When you get out, it turns off, but you can manually turn it off with this power button. Down below, we have 2 climate control vents and an additional screen. Now, this screen runs a lot of things. We do have our climate controls in here, but we also have our power door options. I can randomly open up the back doors if need be. So, hey, I want to open up the door behind me. Boom, I can do it. That's pretty cool. And then close it up from the center as well. Very, very nice. We have our massage settings, all 4 massage settings, so I can personally set the rear massage seats if I'd like, if I have a VIP back there that wants it a certain way, but heaven forbid they use their own touchscreen, I can set it for them. It does have parking assist. I have different cameras that I could turn on and off. This is my little command center, and I actually really like it. I prefer physical climate controls. That's just the way that I am. However, I think that this is done really well. It hasn't been laggy any of the times that I've tried to use it, so that is a huge win. To the left, we do have our trailer brake adjustment, if you would ever consider trailering with this. And moving into the center, we do get physical buttons for the selector dial for the infotainment screen, in case you don't want to use the touchscreen. We also have volume, and we have 2 wireless chargers, one towards the driver and one towards the passenger. Then we do have cup holders. We'll do a big friggin' bottle test, and surprisingly, at least surprisingly to me, it does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. And you also have this little button here that you can lower so you could fit a mug of coffee. Then we get a center console with 12-volt outlet, 3 USB-Cs, and an HDMI. But off to the right, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the passenger screen. So the passenger gets their own screen. They can watch Hulu and YouTube and keep an eye on the vehicle status as well, which is very cool. And as soon as the vehicle goes into drive, something crazy happens with the screen, and it makes it so that the driver cannot see the passenger screen. So if you have Super Cruise on and you're looking to watch a movie, you can't do that. That is a huge safety concern, and Cadillac was well aware of that. The seats are very comfortable. They're heated, ventilated, power memory, and massaging. Absolutely wonderful place to be. I love this accented tan color that looks really, really nice, of course, with that frozen blue exterior. However, speaking of seats, we have 2 more rows of seating. So let's go do some back seat reviews. So getting in the back, we do have power for the rear doors as well. You just touch it once on the outside. And then, let me move my tray table out of the way. Swipe, don't have to touch the handle. Power closing right back up. As per mentioned, we do have tray tables that come out of the center console, much like an airplane, and I could be watching my movie, taking notes on something maybe, and, typing on an iPad or small computer or things like that as I'm watching. Now, I did move this seat up for the full experience. I can really, truly stretch out. Now, this has something special called the Executive Seat Package, and that is a $7,500 option. To me, I feel like it's worth it, but you might not. We have 2 wireless chargers back here as well, so all 4 seats do get wireless chargers. I have my own screen here to operate the second and third row climate. I get my own fan speed and climate on either side of the vehicle. So I could set my fan speed to one thing over here. They could set their fan speed to another thing over there. Quad fan speeds. That's crazy. I can also control the ambient lighting from back here. I can also do something called conversation enhance. So basically the speakers up front will play it back here. If I'm hard of hearing, I can't really hear the driver, I could set that up. Cup holders, USB-Cs, and you get these rear seat screens. You can watch YouTube and Hulu, as well as you can keep an eye on the driver. You can see their speed, power level, and things like that. You could connect headphones. Very, very cool stuff here. Did I also mention I have massage sheets back here? I have massage sheets back here, which is very nice. One big downside of the seat package is the fact that it really compromises the third row. Normally in the non-executive seat series, Cadillac, Escalade, IQ, the rear seat would be pretty decent. And there's an extended wheelbase one coming later this summer, but we're going to hop back there. I can't imagine this is going to be anything good. So seat position here. Let's see. Oh, I have the wrong seat selected. Right seat. There we go. Un momento, por favor. I got to reposition the camera too, so give me a second. There we go. Is that... Do I have to move it up further, I guess? Man, it makes it almost impossible to get back here. Let's see here. Guys, I actually don't think I can get back here. I'm not seeing like a tilt forward option. I mean, it makes sense because it has the massage built in. Okay. I physically cannot squeeze into the back. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not. I can't fit back here. Oh, it's pushing on my ribs. Ugh. This seemingly does nothing, which makes sense because there's probably a whole bunch of massage stuff in here, and it's probably a pretty heavy seat. That's what the third row looks like. If you have kids, great. I'm sure that they'd be able to fit back here, but I cannot get in there physically. That is pretty impressively not good. So, put that back down, and then come here to the screen, position, right. There we go. Push the handle here, close it up like that. Coming around the back for the rear cargo space, push in the rear logo, and there you go. We do have our charger and whatnot. This is our wall charger if we want it, if you have 240 hooked up. We can take a look down here, some more storage, but that's pretty much it. Wall outlet right there, and we do have power operations for the third row, but that's pretty much it. So again, that second row, as cool as it is, as expensive as it is, as awesome as it is, really impedes the interior space. So if you want that third row, need that third row, then that is something to think about. Come up here, we do have the power operated tailgate right back down. Very easy and simple around the back of the Escalade IQ. Of course, another big benefit of it being an EV is that we do get a frunk up at the trunk. So it is a power operated frunk right here on the key fob. And you have some pretty standard stuff in here. You do get a very nice wall outlet. Love to see that. You have your emergency release, but something that I haven't seen quite yet is this pull-out tray. So there's this little button you pull, and you can pull this all the way out to get your gear from the back, so you don't have to reach all the way in because it is such a deep frunk. Now, looking at it like this, that is quite the odd look, if I do say so myself. The car is almost sticking its tongue out, but then it won't go back in until you hit the button and roll it right back in. Very, very cool to see all of that up front in the Escalade IQ. Now we got to talk about the looks, and as I mentioned, it is finished in Midnight Steel Frost, which is a $5,925 option, basically a $6,000 option for this color. So if you see an Escalade IQ roaming around your streets in this color, just know that they paid a pretty penny for it. It also has the optional 24-inch wheels. I like the look of the Escalade IQ. I do think that it suffers slightly because it looks so much like its other IQ siblings, like the Lyric, Vistic, and Optic. I think that there's not a whole lot of individuality between the vehicles, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but this thing definitely has presence. All my neighbors were asking about it. They were looking at it. My neighbors were having a party last night, and 6 people left the party to come see the car in my driveway before going back. That was pretty fun and special. It really, really sparks interest out of people. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Cadillac Escalade IQ for the last week? Well, of course, it's been a great week. This vehicle is absolutely awesome, but let's get some of the downsides out of the way. First of all, like I said, that brand identity with the IQ. I think they're styled so similarly and named so similarly that it kind of blurs the line. The Optic, Vistic, Lyric, and Cadillac Escalade IQ, which it is kind of funny that they wanted to use the Escalade brand, but there's no IQ in it, so they just kind of stuck it at the end. I think that really mixes people up. And with Cadillac moving towards electrification, they want to be the #1 electric luxury brand. Is every single vehicle going to have IQ at the end? And then your entire lineup is named like the Duggars from 21 Kids and Counting? It'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see. But let's answer that question that we prompted with the title. Is the Cadillac Escalade still the peak of luxury? Is it still the top dog? Is it still the king of the hill? Well, I want to preface this slightly by the fact that I had a press car last week, right before this, and that was a Rolls-Royce Cullinan Series 2. That was stickered at $511,000. So in my mind, I went from that to this. How does the Escalade stack up? It stacks up a heck of a lot better than you might think. The features alone make this more impressive than the Cullinan. The Cullinan did not have rear massage seats. While the Cullinan had power closing doors, it did not have power opening doors. I could not open the rear doors from the front like I can in this Escalade IQ. The Cullinan did not have night vision. The Cullinan didn't have a passenger infotainment screen. The Cullinan didn't have a rear third row. Now, did that car ride nicer? It did. But did it ride over $300,000 nicer? No, definitely not. The Escalade has always been an industry-defining vehicle. When it debuted in the late 90s, it had maybe a slower launch, but the second-generation Escalade is solidified as one of the most iconic vehicles of all time. It seems as though with every generation, Cadillac sets the standard, and then it takes a while for their competitors to reach. But I would say by the end of the last generation, the Lincoln Navigator was on the same level with the Escalade. It was just up to brand loyalty. But now with the Escalade IQ, Cadillac has taken another big leap forward, and it's going to take a long time for the competitors to reach it. Yes, this is electric, and that might turn some people off, but it is so much smoother. It is so much quieter than the standard Cadillac Escalade. And at the end of the day, isn't that the point? Shouldn't this whisk you away into a blissful drive as opposed to you hearing every little thing? I think so. And that's where this really exceeds. For once, they've gone and made something electric, not to be hip and trendy, but to truly make the experience better. And that's what you get here in the Escalade IQ. The only other downside of this vehicle is the fact that it is $167,000. But when comparing it to the Cullinan I had last week, well, this seems like it's pulled out of the bargain bin. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Cadillac for letting me borrow their Escalade for the last week. Huge thank you to G. Schmidt for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle. And of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. I know you can't tell, but I'm getting a massage right now. Take care, guys.